Everyone is getting very excited. We are on the cusp of the 2019 Women's World Cup. The competition has been held 8 times. Team USA has won the competition 3 times. So all of the questions are, of course, is Team USA in a strong position currently to hold up the trophy once again when this competition is held? Now, obviously, there's a lot of time still before the competition, but Team USA has been showing a lot of growth. There's a lot of young players on the team. Kate, you're the expert on this type of thing. Is Team USA in a stronger position now than they were back in 2015, or is there still a lot of growth and things that need to happen before the 2019 World Cup rolls around?
I really think Team USA is going through a growth period right now since 2015. You have players like Abby Wambach who retired. You have Hope Solo who was suspended indefinitely. So the 2019 team is going to be very different from the 2015 team that you saw in the World Cup. You've got much younger players coming up that are 19 and 20 years old, and they're starting to gel a little bit more with the veteran players. So when June 7th rolls around in France, it's going to be a fun time, I think, for the United States of America to watch their team participate in another World Cup. And this one is called Dare to Shine, so I do think Team USA could be at the end holding that trophy.
Let's start with you because I feel like you are in the most obviously male-dominated and also very macho field. I know you were the first female coach in the NFL, and now there are a couple, but it's still a very small number. So talk to us about where the NFL is with women.
Well, I started in men's professional football probably in the most painful way possible. I played a season against men, and so I was the one at that point, and then going into coaching, it was also the one, and in the NFL, it was kind of the same thing. So it's an interesting dynamic now because, one of the most special moments for me is we had the first female ref, Sarah Thomas, and myself shake hands on that first game, right? And it was something so normal, right? A handshake happens before every game and every football game. And that was the first time in the history of the sport of this many years that it was 2 women. And now, as you see it, the NFL has, recognized that women should be more incorporated into the game. And they have committed to developing a pipeline for women in coaching and scouting and other operations-based activities. So it's slow, but it's slowly starting. And the thing I'm most proud of in that is my goal going in was to make sure that I was the first and not the last.
The NFL, it's male-driven. Have you faced many challenges getting to that point in your career, becoming the first coach?
I think the biggest challenge is that for me, it wasn't even a dream that was possible because I couldn't look at that point and say, I want to be her when I grow up. So if there's no visibility, there's no possibility, right? And that's also the thing that I'm super excited about now is that anybody can look at that and what we did in Arizona and what's continuing to go on now, and they can say, I want to be her when I grow up, or that's something that I want to aspire to be.
If they're not the only ones in charge, then you will see actual real change. Other than that, it's just an intellectual exercise when I say, okay, women, prove to me why you should be here. Like, that's what the business case is really asking. Like, give me enough data, give me enough facts, give me something to prove to me that you should be here. But there was never a business case made for men. It just is. It just is. Men just should be. Right? So we have to flip that, as Jackson's saying, on its head. It's nothing but a poll tax. It's a literacy test that we're making women take, literally.
Please tweet that.
I'm writing an article about it, so it'll be out. But that's what we're literally doing. It's a literacy test, and we say, prove to me you're smart enough, capable enough, that you can handle the vigors of the corporate society, and then maybe I'll let a couple of you in.
And if you're a woman of color, keep proving to me. It doesn't stop.
In the last couple of years with people being more open and expressing themselves?
Yeah, one of the great things that'll happen is if a team that I've worked with or a player who I've become close to, if something happens in the world, they'll reach out and go, I don't really get this. I know something's wrong, but can you walk me through it? And that in itself shows that, one, I've made a connection with these athletes where they feel safe enough and comfortable enough to be vulnerable and say, hey, I don't get it. Like the Cam Newton thing when he used the word female, and a lot of guys were like, what's wrong with the word female? And I'm like, here we go, right? But that shows that men are at least open to being educated and to hopefully keep evolving around issues that don't impact them. I try to get men to be less selfish and to think about the world outside of them, and to think about like what it means to be trans or LGBT or a woman or differently abled or anything that they don't have to experience, to think about the world outside of their own way.
Being like in the field, it's a little difficult only because it is typically male dominated and there are a lot more males than females in this field, especially with the sports division, which is where I really want to be at the end of the day. But being a student in our department, there really is equal factor. It doesn't really feel like there's much of a difference between the male students and the female students. But where I intern, it's a sports radio network, so it's predominantly males. And there's, I believe, I know of 3 other females who work for the network, or where we are in New York. And there isn't much of an uncomfortable feeling. They treat me the same as they would at another male figure. They don't really, like, you think that they would have the locker room talk or whatever, which it doesn't really happen. Every once in a while a comment will come up, but it's not the biggest of deals. I roll it off my shoulders. It's not really an uncomfortable feeling. But like I said, they don't treat me any different. They treat me the same. There is a lot of respect, I feel like, or I feel very respected when I go there. And they really treat me as if I'm an actual employee, that I've been there for 3 years, not like 3 months or so, however long I've been there. And I really enjoy working with them. They're a lot of fun. It is a little scary thinking about the future, about going further into the field, because as the further you go, the more male dominated it is. And if one day I reach my goal of being an on-air reporter on field, I most likely would be the only female in the room, which is a little scary to think about, a little unsettling, but it's something that I'm working towards it, so I won't let it stop me from doing anything that I want to do. But it's very exciting, per se, to be one of the only few females at where I am right now.
Media here on Iona's campus is very accepting and open, and having females at higher positions. For WICR, we have a female president.
I am on the e-board for the radio station for WICR, and I'm not the only female, so it's a lot more equal. There's 7 of us total. There's 4 males and 3 females, so I'm obviously not the only one. But being that we're all equal in our positions, it's really promotes that like family factor, like I mentioned earlier with my internship, and we really work as a team. Like we always try to make sure that someone has something to do, where if they're like having a rough day, we're always there to help each other out. Like, we really work together pretty well, to the best of our abilities. Naturally, sometimes you have an off day, but that happens. But being in a leadership role for the radio station really means a lot to me, because I've worked so hard to prove myself to get here, mostly because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, not that I had to prove myself as a female, per se, because I never really had that feeling here. But I definitely could see on a college campus why a female media student would feel like she had to prove herself, because there is that stigma on our backs that we're only there because of the way we look, the way that we talk, the way that people perceive us to be. So I really try to be myself and prove that I'm good enough on my own to be where I am.
Employers becoming more proactive in their recruitment of women in media roles and are more flexible with working patterns. Universities, schools, and journalists working together to promote sports journalism to young women.